So, Coach Courtenay, after the marathon, what happened?
I made it. I did it.
Made it around 26.2 miles.
26.2 miles. Christ, that's a long way. That's a long way. Yeah, it's a long way. I mean, my poor body. Yeah, so the last couple of days I've had a chilled. I had a massage the morning after.
Okay.
Which was actually okay. But I've only just been able to sit down without squeaking like a girl.
Yeah.
I
think that moved feminism back about 30 years, but well done. We'll let that one slip. You're in pain.
Yeah, that's right. I can say it. It's okay.
It's you. So yeah.
But it was fun because we stayed at a place that had a lot of stairs, which was really fun. But yeah, so in the last couple of days, I've just kind of given myself a bit of a break. Because there's fair play to anyone who goes to work the day after a marathon, because Christ. But again, it's all like pain's a privilege, isn't it? So it's kind of like it just goes to show what you've done and what your body's done. And as much as yes, walking down the stairs sideways for the last 2 days is great, but it's it's the least I can do for my body. I'm surprised it didn't go down on my thumb. But yeah, so it's one of those things. It's just a nice little reminder about what you did a few days ago. So yeah, I did do it. My ankle isn't pleased with me. That was so the injury flared up, but I knew it was going to happen anyway. So it was kind of quite. I find it quite fascinating because obviously the whole stuff like if this is in terms of me. My right ankle hurts, and then my left hamstring or quad starts to hurt because you're compensating and blah blah blah. So I was running, and about 7 miles in, my right ankle was starting to twinge, and I was like, I'm ignoring you. I'm ignoring you. This is had it been a training run, probably would have stopped. But the whole point was to get me to this marathon. So I was like, it's fine because I'm here now. So we just need to keep going. And so that started to flare up. Then my left knee started to flare up.
As you like to predict,
Yeah. Then my right, I think it was my right knee or my right arch of my foot started to niggle, and then my right knee. So it was just like But it was one of the. This is gradual. This is this didn't happen all at 7 miles. It was like I can't say, but it was like 7 miles, then it was like 10 miles, and it's just started to creep in a little bit. But it was fine. I just had to keep going. I got to about I got to 18 miles and was mentally like, right, you've literally never run this far before. This is the first you've ever run. So I kept going because I was like, well, I've done 18 miles before without stopping. So now I've got to go that little bit more before I stop. And then this is getting to the point now, so 19, 20 miles, getting to the point where my muscles were aching. And I thought, I'm not going to stop. My pace, to be honest, I thought my pace had slowed down a lot more than what it actually was looking back at the time split. So it felt harder and slower, and I was just really regimented in looking at my watch and being like, right, don't go too fast. So I met up with a friend at the beginning, and she said about her knee niggling a little bit, and I was like, that's fine. I was like, we just go at our own paces. I was like, but if we get a comfortable pace that works for both of us, that's fine. So I just kept checking it for the first few miles because she's an absolute mentalist, love her to bits, but mentalist. And she's just like off on one, and then she dart forward because she's just getting in with the crowd.
Yeah, well, this is what we were worried about.
Feeding off everyone's energy, and I'm like, Sam's in, slow down, reel it in, and she's like, yeah, cool, we got it. And then she kept doing that, and I was like, that's fine, you dart ahead, but I'm not going to be going with you. I'm going to be stay back here. Like I'm just really aware of everything. And she's like, no, that's fine. After a while, she's like, oh, I've never been this consistent. And I was like, you're welcome. And after actually within the first few miles, I was like, oh my God, this is what running feels like. I haven't run properly on road or whatever for 2 months, which is the last time I did the 18.
Yeah.
I tested it in between on a treadmill, but that was the last time I ran. So it's like I started running, and it was a bit like, because it was lovely weather. I mean, no cloud cover, but luckily I sprayed myself from head to toe with 50, and it was just lovely. Obviously, like met a few people at the start. Just everyone's energy is just absolutely buzzing. And it wasn't actually, when we first got started, I was like, oh, I expected there to be just everyone huddled together for ages, and it wasn't. It was like everyone was just kind of, the people kind of went off a little bit faster and stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, there were a few bottlenecks along the way at points, but not as crammed as I'd been expecting it to be. But yeah, I started running, and I was like, oh my God, this feels really nice. And I just kind of forgot all the setbacks. And I was like, I'd forgotten that, I'd had an injury, and I'd forgotten that I had COVID, and I'd forgotten all of the other crap. And it's just like, I'm actually enjoying it. And I was with Tamsin, so we were like chatting, so it wasn't like we were going too fast or we couldn't talk.
That's also a good way of regulating your pace, that people say like you're,
and it wasn't like at any point it was like
just
like just having a chat, and you were naturally overtaking other people were naturally overtaking you. There was no like, the dangerous people are the ones that creep up, and not that they're doing this purposely, but creeping up, and then you start to maybe use you as a pacer, but then they start to creep up their speed, so you think that you're going at the same speed, and actually you're gradually just both going faster and faster. And then that happened a couple of times. I was like, whoa, you're not the person for me.
And that's also using like your watch, the way you said that you don't want to be letting your watch dictate your pace, but it's at least a good sort of like
it got to 8:50 or something, and I was like, whoa, Tamsin,
just pull it back in.
But that kind of did work. But then when the times when I thought, oh God, it's actually going quite slow, I'm going quite slow pace, that's obviously later on down the line. But even that didn't then make me go, right, I've got to go faster. Because first of all, I was just listening to my body. My body at some point was kind of screaming, and it was just like, I'm not going to try and push. I've got nothing in the tank now. I just need to maintain it. And then like the course itself, there was kind of loads of areas where you had all the hype, and you have loads of like spectators and stuff. You have a lot of
maybe stereo systems, stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So there was like DJ setup and stuff at points, and then there was actually, so you kind of go towards like away from the coast. So you kind of start at Preston Park, go back, go along the coast a bit, come back and go up, and you kind of go towards just people, like it's like an estate, housing estate type thing, or like roads where just local roads, and they've got people sat outside there in their trials and stuff with prosecco, tea, coffee, beers.
Yeah, make a day of it.
Cut oranges. And
they've blocked your road, so you might as well go with the.
Yeah, and then there's people with PA systems, so their own personal system where they're like cheering people on, and it is just really good.
I like it on some of the races I've done where you go past an old people's home, and then they're all out on the lawn, like waving little flags, and everyone gives them a wave. And I just think that always gives me a boost. And so some of the ones I've done frequently, I was like, I know where this is going to be, and I'm almost sort of like smiling to myself, thinking, oh.
But there was, because you're in front of a lot of people's like homes. There was I mean, hundreds of elderly people that would just be sat there, and they're just like giving you a nice little clap, and you're just,
Well, it takes me back to what you said about being able to suffer in that way, that it's a privilege to be able to get out on the road and feel that pain, because most, a lot of people can't.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it all goes back to the whole, the reason why I was kind of running it, and excuse me, and sorry, 1 second. You can't, because I'm using it as a my husband wants his laptop, and I'm currently using it as a platform because the other thing wasn't there. Sorry.
You're using a piece of technology as if it were a piece of wood.
There we go.
Yeah,
There we
piece of
go.
technology put on a piece of technology.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks. Yeah, so then it goes back to the whole reason why I was running it, and then it goes to back to the course. It kind of goes to an industrial estate, which is the most soul destroying part, because that was about 19 miles.
Oh, that's
where the sleeping policemen are.
Right. Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's like road speed bumps.
Yeah. Not lazy.
But any slight deviation in smooth roads seem to destroy your ankles anyway. So. And
I knew they were coming at some point, because I've been warned about them beforehand. So I knew they were coming. And it got to, and I heard these two runners that had obviously done it before, like pros. They were like, "Oh, I hate this bit. I hate this. Just oh." And I was like, "Oh, don't listen to that, because that's in your head now. You're gonna hate this next section because someone said they hate this section." So got to it, and I could hear people shuffling their feet, and I was like, "Pick up your feet, sleeping policeman, sleeping policeman, ambulance ahead." And I was flashing lights, and I was like, "There's a person on the left." And then as the next load of people started to come through, they were like, "Watch for the uneven floor, uneven surface." I was like, "Yeah, I know exactly what's happened to you. Pick up those feet actively." Like, and by this point, my quads are just like screaming. So I'm like, really, so trying to lift your knees up a little bit higher really does take a lot more out of you. So I'm like, I was actually quite good as well. I did listen to the feet and making sure I wasn't scraping and stuff, and especially around that bit. So I was really focused on that section. Excuse me, but yeah, that was the bit where it was just like there wasn't many supporters there. Not saying that's, you know, not blaming the supporters, but it's just that kind of industrial estate area where
but it's all
people
the
aren't
things
there.
that you were hoping for have started to disappear just at the moment you need it. There is another way of looking at it, that often those industrial estates are chosen because they've got big wide roads with excellent surfaces, and these are the easiest miles you'll ever do, but it doesn't actually feel like that.
No, not with the sleeping policeman, and there was loads of cracks, and there was at some point like there was like a crack in the road, not a deep crack, but just obviously uneven surface, and my foot did that little twinge thing. I was like, "Oh no," and it was fine. I just was like, "Oh
yeah,
and I was just like, "Oh, that can so and then so then we saw that person in the ambulance, and then I think there was a couple of people just along the route and stuff. I started to see people, not loads, like 2 or 3, like they obviously just cramped up, or something's just happened where they've had to stop. And I went past them, and he was like, "Beep," forward, enter forward here, and you just feel for them, because you're just like, oh, just like everything that could have gone wrong for me. Obviously previous injuries, I didn't even think about the stuff that could happen whilst you're running.
Yeah, well, these are the problems with normal people, Courtney. So, you know, I'm not surprised you don't.
Well, I hadn't even thought about that. And you start looking at it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the point. But then that's a lot of this. I mean, they might not have warmed up properly. They might not, their nutrition, their hydration, or like you just don't know.
Or they went off too fast in the way that you didn't go off too fast. Yeah.
So you can't just guess for everyone else's.
No, but we've got to the 19 miles part. I can't help but notice there's a big gap before the end.
Yeah. So it got to about 21.5 miles, and then I was like, I've got to walk for a little bit, and I regret that decision, because after that it was stop, start, stop, start. Okay. And I knew that would happen, but like my joints were just on fire. And it got to a point where I was like, my feet started to not pick up as much. And I was like, I'm going to start walk. I didn't walk slow. I tried to keep up walking a bit faster pace. And I walked probably about 20 seconds max each time. So although it was stop start, I try and run for 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, walk for 20 seconds. So I wasn't ever walking for a long period of time, because I knew the longer I walk, the harder that will be to then pick up the pace again. But my feet was just starting to scrape, and I was like, I'm not gonna have an injury because of fatigue. Like, I'd rather just I'd rather do stop and start for the next 6 miles or 4 miles, whatever it was, and then suffer an injury now. So I did that, and I did actually take 2 gels, like the ones they give you. So I was doing, because it was quite hot, because it was quite hot weather, and I had sun lotion on my face. But when you start to sweat, it goes in your eyes.
Yeah.
So then I was doing water, face, energy drink, drinking, and then I just kept doing that. So I was like, water, face, energy drink, just kept doing that for like however many, whatever many miles it was.
And
I was
what's
quite
the brand?
hydrated.
Do you know the brand?
No, they just said it's the drinks. It just said energy drinks. But I think it said high. I think on the high 5.
Yeah.
High something on the map.
Well, at least you know that. Well, I don't know how this story goes, but that your body doesn't reject it.
No, and then so I was having like the slices of oranges that people handed out. That was just really refreshing.
Like a 1920s football player.
Yeah, and you were just like, oh yeah, what a great idea. Yeah, and just chucking them down. And it was, I think it was about the last, I can't think what miles it was. Probably the 18, coming up to the 18, I had my first gel, because I was like, I feel like I'm going to need it. I haven't done this distance before. I'll just do 1 gel. So I did half a gel, and then I did one a bit later on, probably around the 23 mark. And I'd felt, so I hydrated before the morning of. I should probably start the day before, because I'd been having, I think I had fish and chips, big fish and chips for lunch with a pint of Guinness, because I was like, Guinness has got to be the best drink other than water. I mean, I was thinking of the iron contents and stuff like that.
We're all thinking of the iron content.
Yeah. So I was just like, got to be a good choice. So I had 1 pint of Guinness with fish and chips, because I was like, carbs, fat, bit of protein.
I'm more concerned about the fish and chips than the Guinness, actually. But yeah, okay. So you're training like a pre-war footballer again.
I was in Brighton, and we were on the pier. So I was like, there's only one thing for it. Come on. And then, but that was filled me up quite a bit, and I was a little bit worried. Then I was like, am I going to be hungry this evening? And if I skip that meal, I'm going to eat so much more the next morning. And I know that for me, trying to shovel oats and whatever in your mouth the morning of a race when it's fairly early is just not something I like to do. So I was like, okay, so then just trying to find someone to eat, because Brighton was just really busy. Everyone was booked. So we just literally, where we were staying, there was a pizza place across the road. So we just grabbed some pizzas. I had it with no cheese, because I was like, right, less fat now.
Yeah.
Had just basic margarita minus the cheese.
Tomatoey ready.
Yeah, so, and then with some olives and mushrooms and artichokes. So I was like, keep it veggie. Had that, probably finished at about 7, half 7, because I didn't really want to eat past that time. And then the next morning I had a protein shake to start to help like the slow release of the carbs. Then I had a bowl of oats, literally the plainest oats I've ever eaten. Didn't put anything sweet, because I had the protein shake, which was quite sweet, and I felt sick. And that's probably the slowest I've ever eaten. It took about half an hour to eat those oats, because I wasn't hungry. And I was getting to the point where I was feeling sick, because I just don't eat at that time in the morning that amount. But I knew that I was going to be running 26.2 miles, so I've got to get it in. So I was literally eating it, and then I had a hydro tablet thing, and just sipped that then until we took about a half-hour walk up to the Preston Park. So I felt hydrated and I felt fueled. I felt the good fueled, and didn't feel like woo. And by the time I had about half a banana about 20 minutes before we started, and I felt good. Had a panic wee, as everybody does, in the longest queues in the world.
Oh no, that's something. That's race day tactics. I don't know if there's a way around, but I feel like next time, I feel like this is a tip. Get Shiwi, because then you can use the urinals, because there's no queuing for the urinals. Because we all know what everyone's doing pre-race.
in a portaloo in a field. So if you don't want to do that and you don't need to join that queue, urinals, shiwi. That's what I'm going to do next time.
Yeah, so you'd be there with the men, your shiwi, saying, "You right, Jeff?"
Yeah, I'd be like, we're all pals here. So, yeah, and then yeah, and then went to the pen. And I think within the first few miles, I stopped at Little Portaloo just because I think it was just the excitement, everything, another little panic weight, and then didn't have to go again at all because I think I just had the right little and often hydration basically, which I think is probably key. And I had one of these backpacks that I could have worn with the hydro backpacks, but I didn't because I was just like, it's extra weight I don't need. There's water en route. I don't really need it. So I didn't take it. It's probably the best decision I made because it's just additional weight and it was just so warm, extra chafing, risk, just not worth it. So yeah, and then after I digress. Going back to when I started walking, it was just stop and start, and then you go along the coast, along all the brightly coloured beach hut kind of thing. And again, there's people there, but not that many. People just going about their daily business really, and then they'll cheer you as you go past kind of thing. And the best thing that happened along there was that I picked up what I thought was like a fruitella or something off, because everyone was just giving sweets away. It's the best. And it was these like, they were like fruitella or chew. It's just amazing. I don't know if it's because I was at like mile 23 or 24 or they were actually banging, but I just remember having them and it was just like a fruit burst in my mouth, and it was just like, oh yeah. In fact, in my head it felt like I had it, and then I just went like, yes, power, and zoom forward. I mean, it didn't according to my time, but I felt like that mentally. And then I knew, because as I got past the half bit, I saw on the other side of the road 25 miles. So I knew at the point I was at 24, whatever it was, I was coming out to the road where I knew that 25 miles was, and I knew that that's where loads of people were supporting.
Okay.
So at that point, I wasn't going to walk after that. Not to save face, it was just literally a case of that's the last mile, 1.2 miles. I cannot stop. So as soon as I got to that bit, I was like, right, I can see it coming. Started running, jogging, and then started going, and then turned the corner, and I saw Rob, my husband, on the side, which just took me by surprise because I thought the next time I see him, it will be at the end. So it's a bit of a no, I've got to keep I was like, no, we're fine, carry on. And then it was there's like a big 2X inflatable, 2XU inflatable thing, but that's not the finish. That's I don't know what point. But then I saw someone on the left on a stretcher being carried, and that was less than a mile from the finish. And I was like, my heart just sank for him. I was just like, oh, absolutely gutted, because you don't want anyone to fail. It doesn't matter why you're there. You just don't want anyone to fail. And you're like, the amount of times I walk past people and they're clearly injured, and you just want to be like, can I help you? But you can't. And you also can't stop because you just won't get going again. So you're in this bit of a, do I help? I was like, I can't. But then there's so many St. John's ambulance and stuff on bikes, and there's loads of people on the side ready to help. So you've just got to be like, no, just focus on finishing. But yeah, got to like, I was absolutely gutted for the guy. But and then I got a little, like, you just have many moments of emotion during, well, for me, because everything's so emotionally hyped up. You're there for, raising charity, for something close to your heart. You see other people that are raising charity. It's just like a very highly emotionally charged. So at any point you let those emotions really sink in, you have a bit of a choked up moment, and then you just get on with it. So I was like running and saw that guy, just was like, oh no, carry on. And then I was just heading then to that 2XU bit. And then as soon as I got near in that, everything just gets louder, and it's almost like you've just like TV's just come off mute, and and the volume's just getting higher and higher. And then I saw the finish, and I was like, I actually did it. Even if now something happens, I will crawl my ass over that finish line. So I get there, I'm getting to like the end bit, and everything is just because you've got the not the DJ but the MC guy, and everyone is just absolutely hyped up because again, nobody wants to see anyone fail. Everyone is just like, yeah, and like last bit. So I did the last bit, and it was like, oh, I don't know, it's just absolutely mental. You can't describe it because you're just I'm pretty sure any photos of me post the finish were just like, because I got, as soon as I finished, I did a little video on my phone just to be like where I finished, and then as soon as I did it, it was just like whoosh, because I was like beep. I did it. Money for the charity. I was like, oh my god, and then it was just like, oh, and you just want your family and your friends to be there, but you're not because you're in the race. It's a bit like race. No one can get there. You've got to literally walk about 10 minutes to go and see this. You're like, they're just handing you all your medal, handing you water, getting those foil blankets, which I thought I always see people with foil blankets, like you're so dramatic. And I was like, I need a foil blanket. Getting your little banana and your whatever it is else you get. And then I didn't have any bag dropping stuff, so I just started like moving through the race village, knowing that's how I'd lost Tamsin. Just to digress, I'd lost Tamsin about half, back at about 13, 14 miles. So I kept looking back, and we hadn't planned to run together, but it was just, we kind of continued looking back, and she got a little bit slower and slower, and I kind of put my hand up, and she was like, no, just keep going, it's fine, like, you do you. And then I did it again, and she was there, and then I did it about 3 or 4 times, and she just disappeared. But then it was like, I can't stop again, because if I stop and she happens to be hidden behind someone, it ends up overtaking me, and I'm there waiting for her. Like, that's just a dangerous place to be. So I was like, right, okay, well, she knows, I know she's fine. I mean, I didn't, but I was hoping she'd be fine, and if not, getting help, and just continued. I wasn't going at speed, but yeah, just continued. So I knew she was behind me at some point. And then as I started to make my way back through to meet my family and stuff, I got the thing on my phone to say, Tamsin's finished, and give me the time. But I noticed at the finish, because I actually said the day before to my husband, if I do sub 4 hours, I will get the time tattooed somewhere on my body. I don't care, but I'll get it tattooed. And when I started the race, I started just at about 4:30, and then I kept seeing the 4:15, so I was like, oh, like I'm around that area and things. And as I finished, it said 4:50, and I was like, to be fair, I was like, sub 5, don't care, fine. But it turns out, obviously, I've started later.
Oh yeah, there's the gun.
I think I messaged you and said 4:50, and I was like, oh wait, no, it's 4:31, and I was like, banging, I'll take that. So and then I met up with I saw the 4:30 bubble guy, because he took a photo of it, like the front people, and he was like, I'm gonna have another photo at the end, because we'll all be together, because I want to be going at a good pace. You won't run off, it'll all be fine. And I saw him, but I hadn't realised then that my time was actually 4:31. So I went, oh, I was 20 minutes behind, and they were just like, look, you've done it, like, no, just be proud of it, blah blah blah. And I was like, no, cheers, thanks, blah blah blah. Carried on, and then I got the thing through saying 4:31. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, but that was also it's the other thing of what people, I don't think people talk about much is, and I'll talk about me, I won't talk about you, but like I feel like for every 5 miles I run, I lose like a proportion of my IQ. It's like if I have to do long training runs and I'm just sort of exploring, yes, the amount of like not terrible but quite poor decisions where it's like I wasn't thinking about, and so all these things, but it's amazing how you can think all these things but they don't connect together.
Yeah.
Of course, like that's really clear to you now, but under that sort of delirium, dehydration, exhaustion,
decision making
yeah,
it's just like the last, I think, after I met up with the family and they were asking me questions, I thought, I don't just take decisions away from me. If you think we should go there, we'll go there. I can't.
It's also things like preparing for a race, like trying to make as many decisions ahead or when are you going to, rather than agonizing, because your decision making power is going to be quite limited. So try to take all the decisions away, and like you say, afterwards as well, it's like she wants some food and drink.
Yeah, but the thing is, I wasn't hungry afterwards.
Oh, you get it all gets a lot smaller, and
I had the 2 energy bars because I knew I needed something. So I had the banana and 2 energy bars and had the water. But the thought of eating just made me want to vomit. So I was like, let's just get out.
Twice in one day.
Pardon?
Twice in one day.
But I was like, I just didn't fancy anything. I just didn't want any food. And I knew that, like, because we were heading back anyway, and I knew we needed to get back in the car really, because it's going to take 3 whatever hours to get back. And then also I was thinking, oh God, like I was already struggling walking. My Tamsin was going to go in the sea. We planned to go in the sea. There was no way I was going in the sea. I literally got back and I was walking on the boardwalk like John Wayne. And then the thought of having to walk over the pebbles, either in my trainers or in bare feet, again, just made me sick. So I was like, don't need that in my life. Let's just go and get some food at some point and water. I just need water. So yeah, we made our way back, but obviously you can't just walk over the roads that you normally can because everything's closed off and stuff. So you have to go through the crossing bits anyway. So we saw some people coming up to the last finish bit, and I was just like screaming at them like, you've got literally less than 2 minutes, don't start walking now. And yeah, again, emotions come up again, because you just see other people and you're just like, that was you like 15-20 minutes ago. So yeah, and then we got in the car to go back, and I was like, I fine, I'll have a Burger King or McDonald's, I don't care what it is. To be honest, the best thing for me then was something like McDonald's, because it's not really satiating enough, because it's rubbish, but it's got all the calories that you know you need.
Yeah, and like it's got I was like,
I need 4,000 calories. I need about 4,000 calories, but I don't want to eat like a satiating meal that is going to make me feel like I've just had 4,000 calories. So actually, McDonald's, I mean, don't quote me on that. I wouldn't go and have McDonald's, but it was just something I just needed something, and that was probably about an hour after I finished. So it wasn't, I just didn't want anything before that. I just couldn't deal with it. But yeah, so it was an amazing day, and I'd like to thank my parents and my husband for like following me. They didn't follow me around the whole time, and I wasn't expecting that. I was like, just if you could see me at some point and then see me at the end, that'd be great. And I kind of had Roll on standby, because he had a bunch of stuff in a bag, like extra leggings and all this kind of stuff, plasters and things that if I needed an emergency or whatever, he was following me on the app anyway, so he knew where I was, and I could just call him and be like, can you come and grab whatever.
I did see you on the app. There was, during my day, in full confession, I was having a difficult time too, on a wine tour, and but we, between sips of sparkling wine, we were checking your stats out, and I could see that for every sort of 5 miles you were adding on an extra 10 seconds per mile rate. But I thought that you got slower at a steady rate, so I just thought, oh no, that's a well managed rate. So I was quite relieved to see the progress.
Yeah, it was like, again, it's hard, it's easy to go too hard too quickly, because you just get lost in the whole momentum of everything. So I can completely see that. So I think being that regimented for the first, I'd say even 45 minutes.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I think really saves you in the long term. I did have ibuprofen as well at some point.
I think that's wise. It's better than the paracetamol, so you've got a slightly anti-inflammatory quality to it as well.
Yeah. And I remembered I didn't have any of this before I started, but luckily I had got some in my little bum bag. So I was like, oh, I'll just take a little couple here.
You drugged yourself.
Saw someone running in bare feet. And I was like,
wow.
mental. I mean, he had trainers with him. I mean, fair play, but I just think you go through that industrial state and you stand on glass, you are out of the game. I just little thing on it, but that's just me. I mean, he's probably been training, so his the skin on his feet have thickened and hardened and stuff. But
I'm just thinking sort of I wouldn't really want to see his feet, you know, not.
No. I didn't want to see my feet, and actually I was quite like, I use toe socks. I would say that is key. Toe socks, cut your toenails. Make sure you cut your toenails the night before, not too much so that they bleed too close, but just make sure you've cut them at least 2 or 3 times in the run up to a race. I would say that, and toe socks. Toe socks.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe some of the opposite, that's having slightly longer, and then the actual nail is like the thousands of, you know, it's actually a form of protection. I don't know. It's probably about having the right length.
But yeah, you don't want, the thing is though, it all depends on how your feet are generally. If your toes are quite spaced out, but then you're putting them into trainers, so they're bringing them together. It depends how, when they bring together, if they cross over. It's so many things, and you only know from doing it. You only know from doing it. So go on a long run. When you start going on your long runs, you then start noticing things like that's rubbing a little bit. I mean, I've had a toenail go rub through a toe sock before, and then the socks, you know, and it sticks to the that's not pleasant.
I think there's also you can only experiment so much. I think you have to do some racing, because even say I find that the wear is always slightly like on the end of my toes, and I think there's something about the intensity of the race where it's like there is a difference. The other one is where someone bought me, and I wasn't really for it, but someone bought me the socks, these sort of magic socks with a slightly silky inner lining. There's like 2 linings, so they almost move separately. I'll show you sometime, but yeah, that's quite good. You know, some people used to say wear 2 pairs, whereas this is like an integrated one where you've got sort of a cottony, more coarse layer, and then a slightly smoother layer, and they are separate, so all that slight abrasion goes.
Because I don't know about you, but I get really hot during a run, and I had full leggings on, had ankle supports on both ankles, and then I had the toe socks on. So the thought of wearing 2 pairs of socks on that, just like, I radiate heat from my head and my feet. I mean, I do majority of people, but like that's why I wouldn't wear a hat. Like, I can't wear a hat.
Oh no.
I just feel like I'm just putting a big coat on my head, and I just get too hot. And it's like I didn't only wore a vest. I was going to have like an underlayer and stuff, but then when I saw the weather, like the day it was just like, don't need it.
No, it's more a concern about the pre-race, that, you know, of what they say, sort of wear the clothing for the second or third mile. But with the races, you don't just sort of jog out the door. You have to often stand still for long periods of time. So I remember someone saying, like, there was someone with like you know, a refuge sack, like a bin line. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's proper old-fashioned running technique there. You go and create a poncho. Have you ever seen that? And then you do a Hulk Hogan sort of.
Yeah.
But just so you can wear less.
Yeah, I mean, we had really good weather. I mean, it was warm, which does take, depending on whether you've had when you're training, it can be huge, make a huge amount of difference. But that's why I think the little and often of drinking water and whatever is the way to go.
So well done. And also, there were 2 races on. One was the physical race and one was the fundraising race. So I think you let slip. You must have hit your target. Oh, we're going to have a live update.
So my target was 500, and I've got 725 pounds.
Oh wow!
So now I'm going for 1,000.
So you're getting close to 150, but you're going for 200. Sorry, 150%. You're going for 200%.
That's the aim. That's the aim.
Well done. And so I guess that's going back to one of your key motivators. So to run for the charity and like in the name of your friend as well.
Yeah. Well, I had, it was, I mean, that was playing on my mind before, because I was just panicking that, I mean, with London Marathon, you've got to raise so much more money, and it's kind of a big deal if you don't raise the funds, you've got to put the rest in yourself. I
guess you're sort of forfeiting, or you're putting something at stake, aren't you? Yeah.
So with this, I was just, I mean, I've spoken to the MND lady and kind of said to them, like, because she called me a few days before and just said, how's everything going? I said, oh, COVID last week, and I could hear the concern in her voice. She was like, just take care of yourself. And I'm like, I'm starting this race, but we'll just see what happens. I'll make smart decisions, but I'm going to start. And I was like, and obviously I haven't hit target yet, but you know, she's like, yeah, that's fine. So she was quite, you know, it wasn't like, yeah, love, you've got to make sure you hit that target. So she was quite relaxed about it. I mean, I don't know how they would have been if I hadn't actually met the target.
The phrase indentured labourer comes into mind. So
what was that, sorry?
Indentured labourer. You have to work on your.
No, and I got and I think a few people shared some stuff. I kind of started using it a bit more, like when I'm in Brighton, and just started putting a bit more social media on there, and other people then started sharing it a bit more, and so I think I had about 515,
Go the line.
510 the morning off. So then I was like, right, so I need to get more now. And I thought once I finish, or at the time, if I finish, I'll be able to try and push people more, because a lot of people I feel like wait, because they're like, well, it's marathon.
Yeah.
I don't know what this chick's about. Can she do it? So then waiting to be like, oh, right, she's done it now. Yeah, I'll give the money.
That's old-fashioned fundraising, where people used to put a piece of paper around office buildings and so on, and then you had to go and like push them against the wall and tell them like, give me your money. But now it's all like cash up front. I'm not sure everyone is up for that, so that makes sense that people might want to see the goods.
Because then it did go up. It's obviously jumped to like £200. So I'm gonna continue. It's not closed.
No, it's not closed yet. We'll put the link in the show notes. Yeah,
I'm hoping to get up to £1,000. So I'll continue. I haven't done a little post or something to kind of just a little roundup of how I found the whole like day, and kind of giving everyone thanks and all of that.
No, but you've got to, you are the athlete, so you're under pressure, but part of that is not just the story ends there. You've got to rest, recover, get back to your normal life. So I think we owe you a little bit of respite before you.
Well, the thing is, there's just so much that goes into it. And it was, I mean, the last couple of days have been weird, because I was like that Monday, I had a massage in the morning, just like a post-marathon one. And then that day we were going away just for one night. And I was like, it would be really nice to be able to go for a meal and not think, what's the carbs, what the protein, what the fats, how much should I be having, what I should and should not be drinking, and what time am I eating, and so it's quite, although I obviously haven't had to, it's not like the last however many months have been all about that. I've been actively aware about what I'm eating, and I'm not going to be going and having McDonald's to get the calories up for training runs and stuff. So trying to put the best stuff for me in my body. And then getting to Monday and being like, I'm just gonna have whatever I fancy on the menu, so, like whatever it is. So be it. I mean, I think it was chicken and potatoes, but it was it was my decision. I just chose it for what looked nice on the menu and not for the macro.
You're not a machine anymore.
Not at the moment. I mean, I've got to rebuild and regroup.
yeah, exactly. I would ask you what the next challenge is, but I think you've actually a mental pause of not trying to attain anything for a while is quite a good idea.
Well, I think the next one I do, I might not do it for, I say I won't do it for charity, but then I'll always end up doing it for charity, because then I think that I don't think I would have done, I don't know, I don't think I would have done, I say, as well as I did. Don't think I was being pushed as much like myself to have finished had I not been raising funds for charity, because I just think it's such it's a long way to go.
Yeah.
And you get to some like dark places and you just think, oh, I could just stop, couldn't I? But when you're raising money for charity, you're like, no, not doing it. It's like, it's not even, it never once I thought, I've just got to stop. I've just got to stop this. Yeah, I would have just walked the rest of the way. If it got to a point, I would have been like, I'll just walk. My parents and my husband just have to wait several hours. It's fine. I'm doing it. I'm not going for a time.
Yeah. Oi, chap, where are you going with that stretcher? Over here.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just, as soon as I started, it was like, yeah, this is it. I'm on this now.
So it's helped you. It helped you. I mean, it's not the reason, but it is a contributing factor for the training. Never going too far off track, and you sort of the mentality of like, you're in it for many reasons. It's going to happen. Yeah. And also and the self-discipline as well of not going off too fast is partly out of a sort of a tribute to the charity. You're not going to take risks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and I had I'd asked my so our family friend, the one who the husband of the woman I'm doing it for, I'd asked to have a chat with him in the morning, because I was like, I need not that to put the pressure on him. I was just like, maybe hearing his voice and just having a conversation just to get me mentally prepared and give me something that give me, you know, not for him to give me something, but just for me to mentally prepare myself and be like, because this is a long haul flight. So I did speak to him, and he kind of briefly touched on a few things. He obviously thanked me for the fact that we've raised the money, but he said, so essentially his wife was given, I think it was 18 months from her original diagnosis. She had 26 weeks left. So think every mile you run is a week left for her. And I was like, yeah, that's what I need. I was like, yeah, 100%. I mean, he was like, I was really, and he got him, like, I put him on loudspeakers because I was with my dad and my husband. Then obviously everyone just got emotional because he was getting emotional telling me that. So we were like, I was like, oh, getting a bit choked up, and I was like, and he said, I didn't know whether to tell you that, because obviously it's quite a big thing. He wasn't saying, you know, you've got to do it because she's got 26 weeks left. It was just like, because he wasn't putting pressure on me to finish it. He was just saying, for every mile you do, it's a mile of like a week potentially his wife has left on this earth. So you might not make the whole 26, but whatever you do counts. So I didn't feel pressure in the sense that, oh, no, I have to 100% do it. I already had that on myself anyway. I was already like, I'd had a bit of a meltdown the day before, because I was just like, I went to pick my race pack up, and then it just got a little bit overwhelming, because I was like, I've got a race number now, look, I'm in it. And it was just the overwhelming feeling that I'm doing this for charity, and if I don't do this, not that people would expect the money back, but it's just failure in my eyes for me. So I was like, I don't want to fail, and I don't want to let people down, and I've trained so bloody hard for this, like I don't want to fall at the last hurdle of many hurdles. So I just kind of got a bit, again, emotional, #emotional. And it was just a bit like, I just didn't want to fail. I just didn't want to fail. And my mum and dad and husband were like, look, to just take the pressure off yourself. You know, no one's going to expect you to carry on if you can, and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I expect me to carry on. It isn't like, at this point, it's like these people have put money towards me running this marathon. I've come this far. I do not want to not be able to do it. Like, I didn't even, like, once I started, I was like, I wanted that to be that. But I hadn't run in like I said, in 2 months. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if as soon as I started to run, something went. A hamstring, a quad went, because, you know, overcompensation, all that. So it was a not knowing of everything. And so, yeah, when I spoke to him that morning, I was like, yeah, that's what I need at 18 miles to be thinking about. Like, it gets hard, because it does get hard and your body does hurt. But again, pain is privilege. There'd be so many people that just wish to feel that pain and do what thousands of us were there doing that day. So, and I kept thinking about that kept going over on in my head as soon as it started to get tough. Like, as in, not that I wasn't starting to enjoy it, but it was like putting the graft in. And that's when I just kept thinking about that. It was when I was getting to 18 miles, because then I thought I'd just do 1 more mile, trying to keep this run going, because that was 1 more mile for Kerry. And then it was like, no, I can do another one, because I've just done one. I can do another one, or get as far as that. And that's how I got to the 21 and a half or whatever it was. And then I didn't beat myself up when I started to walk, because it was like when I'm walking, and then as soon as I start walking, and as soon as it starts getting comfortable to walk, start running. Because if it gets comfy, you are not running again. So, and then as soon as I did that run again from walking, I was like, crap, I shouldn't have done that. But I had to, because I liked it. I had to. I mean, I probably could have kept going. I'm just skagged a few, you know, my feet along the floor and stuff, but I made that choice. But as soon as I started that second run again, I was like, right, okay, so this is how it's going to go now. This is going to be walk, run, walk, run. I've just got to try and make sure that walk I do is short, catch my breath. Even though I didn't need to catch my breath, my lungs were absolutely fine. That was one of the other things, because obviously I didn't know how my lungs were going to feel. The lungs are absolutely fine. It was my lungs. I could have gone faster with the lung side of it, but it was just the body. Mental side of it, I think mentally and lungs, if in my brain and my lungs was cracking on, they would have gone a bit faster, but the body was holding back a bit. But, you know, I mean, I'm still, you know, I'm not taking away from the fact that I did it. I'm really proud of myself and my body for getting me through. Like, that's why I'm like, last couple of days, you'll get a massage, and you'll get to go in the sauna, and you'll get to go in the jacuzzi and just chill and eat what you want and have some wine. So that's what I did.
I'm pleased to hear it, and like you say, that it's fairly clear that it'll find some weakness in you. It's a long distance, but nevertheless, the training you did, despite the setbacks, was enough to get you over the line. And yeah.
Training 100% is key. Like, I think a lot of people, if they're just generally fairly fit and they do their own day-to-day stuff, probably get you half, maybe a little bit longer. But once you get to the 15 plus,
no,
I think it's whatever you'd put in before. And if you haven't trained, stuff starts to go wrong.
No, I think you're right.
That's when injuries occur, and it's painful enough with training.
Yeah, I think to agree with what you're saying, that I've known a few people who are just generally very fit and who've run a half marathon without any training, which isn't recommended, but like it proves the point. But it's that sort of 20-mile mark where you start to see people just blowing up, and that's either, you know, it's just because it's a long distance, there's no secret, but you know, maybe also a little bit too fast, maybe something to do with their nutrition or their training. But a lot of people, I think, have this sort of Hollywood reel going in their head of, but like, I've got a different type of mental attitude to other people. That, you show that every day of the week. No, you don't. And then it's like, well, no, you actually need all that mental energy, even if you've trained.
Yeah.
so like the idea.
And if you've got quite a naturally fast pace, they think I'll be fine on a marathon, I'll just slow it down. But it's not, because if you've got a naturally fast pace, you want to go at that naturally fast pace.
Yeah, exactly. I think the first marathon I ran, where I was really trying to hit a time, I was lucky enough to be running next to this guy who had a kind of grandiose nickname in his running club because they call me Diesel. But he said it's like they call him Diesel because he is such a reliably steady pacer, like a diesel engine. He just turns over and turns over. And I thought, mind if I just tag along? And sure enough, he just like his reputation, he was just without looking at his watch, he was just on the same pace the whole time. So I was thankful to him, but not so much. Yeah, more the sense of almost negative calibration. No. That they're all doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You'll see them again soon when they blow up. You know? But yeah, so I guess that's quite nice. But so I'm going to ask you.
Can I stop you there 1 sec? I need to run to the toilet really quickly.
Yeah, sure.
Live. This is live. Everything takes me longer at the moment. So yeah. You can sort of lurch towards the chair, but the last few inches are. Oh my God, I've been literally going and going up. I've got to I was having to really go like rock back and forth, and then and go up. I'm all right now though.
So you need to be around people who understand your circumstances, because it would be painful for you to have to explain as, you know, I just ran a marathon, not to brag.
No, I just wear the medal. I was in the spa and the jacuzzi. No,
I was going to say there's this question mark about once you've run a marathon, you've got a medal. How long is it socially acceptable?
I went one more. I also got a hoodie, finisher hoodie.
You should.
I wasn't going to, but then Rob said, he was like, "Oh, I'm really proud of you. What do you want a hoodie?" And I was like, "Nah, like." And he said, "What about a t-shirt?" And I said, "To be honest, I'll wear the hoodie more than a t-shirt. I've got loads of finisher t-shirts from like Tough Mudders and other runs and stuff that I'd never really wear. But the hoodie was quite nice." So I was like,
yeah. No, there's some where I think there's a fashion now for not giving them out, in the sense of a lot of it is wasteful because you're not asking people if they want it. Yeah, they've got it. And yeah, so I've often seen now that you have to pay a premium, which just seems a little wrong, but it's probably for the best.
I think with the Brighton one as well, you could say, "Don't want a t-shirt, we'll plant a tree."
Oh, well, that'll sort it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was my first marathon, so there was no way I'm a t-shirt somewhere with Brighton Marathon on.
Absolutely. And also some of them are quite nice, but I also noticed that they never give you like shorts. So I'm one of these other ones who like can't shut their drawers because I've got so many of these like race t-shirts, but kind of need some shorts. No one's sort of handing out shorts at the end. That would be helpful. Yeah. Thanks. But so if you were a beginner, now you're an experienced marathon runner and a personal trainer, what would your tips to beginners be?
I think there's from the get-go, find a training plan and stick to it as much as you can, unless you twist an ankle, get COVID and stuff, doesn't really get you.
Imagine.
But stick to it as best. Don't try and jump things. Like, don't be jumping from like 12 miles to 18 miles just because those 12 miles felt great. Keep a kind of steady
progression.
Upgrade. Yeah. But I would also keep resistance, get some resistance training in there, which they tend not to. I mean, I think they do more now, but I was looking through some marathon planners, and a lot of them don't actually put a strength session in there. Hence why I've got a spreadsheet. So I took a marathon planner and then I basically put it into a spreadsheet, and I switched up some stuff, like they'll put cross training and or something like that in there, and I switched that up for resistance. I think resistance training, and I'm not on about strongman training, I'm on about just resistance. You don't have to start with a 30 kg bar. Start for something like 5 kg max if you're not used to using weights. And I mean, there's loads of things on YouTube. There's things like starter strength sessions, but I definitely would recommend getting some resistance training sessions in there to begin with, just once a week or something. And don't necessarily push the weight up, just keep some sort of resistance. So just because you can, don't then start adding in loads of weight. Get to a threshold that you're kind of moving relatively fast, quick, not fast. But I wouldn't then keep adding on weight just because you can. You've got to remember that you're not training for strength, you're training for endurance. You've got to get the right balance. But there'll be loads of stuff online as well to kind of find out what kind of training sessions you can do with that. Nutrition and hydration. I mean, when I did my 80 miles in the February, like both were absolutely crap. I just didn't really think about it. I hadn't run that far before. I thought, oh, I'll eat some potatoes the night before and I'll have a banana the morning of, because I'm used to fasted runs, which you can do to a certain degree. I think up until about, for me, up until about a half marathon. Anything more than that, you need fuel. You just need to work out what fuel works for you and when during a run. Don't go smashing 4 bananas in you within the first mile and then having nothing for the rest of it. So I think you just need to play around with that, because I didn't get to play around with hydration and nutrition as much as I wanted to because of the setbacks I kind of had. So I think had I been able to, I would have played around with that a bit more, because I would have felt more confident going for gels and things like that, which I got because I needed them at the time. I mean, they could have worked not wonders for me during a run, but they were fine. Kit as well, I think, is the main thing. I mean, these are all general things. I just think the kit was, you don't want to be running 26 miles and having to keep pulling up your leggings. And, you know, I think I remember hearing a story about a guy who was wearing nylon-y shorts, and he basically had blood going down from his thighs because of the chafing. Chafing is fine, like up until about 5 miles, you could do a little bit of chafing. For 26.2 miles, if you're getting your skin doing that, it's not going to be happy with you by the end of it. And it's the little things that can ruin a long run, like the rubbing of the heels. If you've got new trainers, make sure you break them in. Another guy, or he got new trainers for, it was actually my father-in-law that was telling me this, got new trainers because it was a special occasion. It was a marathon, first marathon, so he got new trainers, and then literally got to 21 miles, couldn't go any further because his feet were absolutely screwed because he was wearing completely new trainers. So whatever kit you're going to wear, make sure you try it out, so you're not trying it out on the day. Bearing in mind, basically, whatever you're going to be wearing on the day of a long run, make sure you've tested it out beforehand, so that you know it's not going to bug you and chafe, whatever it is. Chafing cream as well, by the way, which I didn't actually get, but my friend had some because she had shorts on, so she had the chafing cream under arms. If you've got vests, people.
Oh really? I didn't know there was a thing called chafing cream, but there we are. Yeah.
Well, it's probably called something else. I mean, hopefully it's chafing cream, but whatever it was, you can get Vaseline just put under arms, because I have the vest I have was quite like low here under the arms. So if you're just constantly doing this at 26 miles, it's going to rub. So yeah, chafing cream. But again, test that out beforehand as well.
Okay.
And there you have it.
That's all the tips. Well done. You've met both your challenges. The training despite physical problems, the COVID, life, the need to earn money. You've met your charitable challenge and broken through it, and of course, you being you, doubled the challenge. But we'll see where we get to that one, and include in the show notes a link if anyone wants to make a contribution towards the charitable endeavor. But yeah, otherwise, well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, now keep mobile. Make sure you don't get locked into that seat.
Yeah, I've been doing ankle rotations as I've been sat here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank
see
you.
you. Bye.
And take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.